Mail call. Lately, I've been trying to be very intentional with my collecting, but every so often I have an urge to gobble up an impulse knife, and today we are looking at my most recent spontaneous purchase. Amazon has a pretty good selection of new Kizer knives, and I've realized that most of them come in dirty, beat-up boxes. But I'm willing to look past that because I tend to be a fan of their knives, and as a company they seem to take design risks that I enjoy. This knife is called the Kizer Junges. It's an interesting micarta folder that sports an aggressive clip point blade, which is part of their 2021 Vanguard series of knives. I've had my eye on this model for a while now. I'm definitely lacking clip point style blades in my collection, so I finally decided to pull the trigger, and now that it's in hand, I'm pretty pumped that I did that. You know me, I'm always interested in the designer behind the knife. That's his maker's mark right there. The Junges was designed in collaboration with Carlos Elstner. I'm not familiar with his work, but after some research I see that he also designed the Kizer Assassin and the Kizer Clutch. But just what was it that led me to buy this knife instead of all the other options available on the interwebs? Well, it was actually two things. First of all, I'm on a micarta kick right now, and although I think these scales look a bit dirty, it definitely quenched some of my micarta thirst. And secondly, is something I call big clip point energy, and this knife has that in spades. The clip point of this blade is the star of the show. Just look at that blade. The flat grind mixed with the large swooping clip point creates a blade shape that seems to exude confidence, and has one hell of a stabby blade tip that can't be ignored. Although this piece seems to have the aforementioned big clip point energy, it's not a large knife by any means. In fact, the Junges is a very nice size. Let's talk specs. The Kizer Junges has a blade length of 3.125 inches, a blade width of 1.125 inches, and a blade thickness of 0.11 inches. It has a handle length of 4 inches, a handle width of 1 inch, and a handle thickness of 0.44 inches, giving the Junges an overall length of 7.25 inches, a great size in my opinion. Weighing in at 3.48 ounces, the Junges features N690 steel, a satin blade, a flat ground clip point blade style, a ball bearing pivot system, micarta handle scales, a liner lock, flow-through design, and a deep carry pocket clip. My initial thoughts about this piece since I've unboxed it are positive. Kizer executed the knife very well, which isn't always the case with their Vanguard lineup in my experience. The fit and finish is dialed in. The blade came perfectly centered with zero blade play. The detent and action is dialed in both for the flipper tab and the thumb stub deployment, which means this piece has a very nice little fidget factor going on. The liner lock is well executed, with the lock side of the liner raised ever so slightly for access to the lock bar. There are 3 prominent speed holes machined out of the show scale that undoubtedly help with weight reduction, but also help in the ergonomic department. Overall, the scales are slightly rounded enough to make this piece very comfortable in hand. I can comfortably fit 4 fingers easily on the handle, and I have thick hands. I find that the speed holes are positioned perfectly to aid in handling the knife during deployment and disengagement. That brings us to the blade and the question that matters most. How does it cut? The flat grind in this knife is very thin behind the edge, making it a nice slicer. But the clip point brings this piece to the next level. It's stabby, it's slicey, and I'm having a good old time with it. Coming in at about 65 bucks, I recommend this knife if you're looking for a fun and interesting budget piece that sports a unique blade shape. This one could definitely be for you. Thanks for stopping by, guys. That's it for me. Backpack be out. Deuces.